welcome to Game Crunch, your weekly video game podcast. My name is Mike Anastasia, and with me today is Brandon.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about games and things.
Yes.
Lots of games.
We do have lots of games to talk about.
Lots of games to talk about this week.
You went on a little excursion, had a little interesting purchase.
Yeah, well, I put my money where my mouth is. I've been saying I was going to do this for a long time. I did it. And now we're here.
Yeah, so, I can't wait to see what we got. What your thoughts are.
Well, we can start there, I suppose, since we
Let's do that.
Even though it's not the most exciting new thing of the week to do new things, but it's an exciting newer thing, I suppose. And so got Xbox Series X and Dead Space. Yeah,
he also did that. Yeah.
Why? I don't know. It was a very I just felt like doing it thing.
It sounded really spontaneous. Like, you just showed us the picture and you're like, I did a thing. And I was like, oh, my man did a thing.
I was just kind of thinking about it, and I don't know, Dead Space is one of my favorite series.
I do know that.
And I was like, it'd be a great thing to, support them. So, and I had been saying that, in terms of next-gen things, this would be the direction that I would go. So, it made sense. It seemed like the right thing to do. So, yeah. So I played Dead Space. That's the only thing I've played on it so far. Nothing too wild. But it looks nice. Although, this is my interesting quandary with this game, I suppose. Okay. Because it looks really nice. But at the same time, I'm like, this game, I don't think that... So the original Dead Space really wasn't lacking anything that needed a next-gen update, I thought it looked great before. It looks even better now, for sure. There's no doubt about that. But at least gameplay-wise, Next Generation didn't revolutionize it in any way, shape, or form. And there's always that old what's the...
I forgot. Do you have a 4K TV?
No, I don't.
I think that's your problem. I'm gonna be honest with you right now. I feel like, okay, so this is how I'm gonna approach this, and I'll see if you at least understand what I'm trying to say. So, when the Xbox 360 came out, right, and people had still SD TVs. Do you remember how different things looked compared to an SD TV once you got that HDMI set up and everything? That is the leap I feel that 4K TVs bring to the equation. And I feel like the fact that you said not that much different really tells me all I need to know. Because it is a completely different beast if you are actually playing it in 4K. Now gameplay wise, absolutely nothing's really changed. There's some stuff such as you talk now, for instance. We get to see your face now. So that's kind of different. And I'm not sure if it's for the better or worse. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about it. And then also there's more story elements somewhat because of that element of the game. And then I think they did some different things with the weapons that happen later on in the game. I'm not 100% sure because I have not played it myself.
There definitely have been
heard and seen things.
Yeah, and there's definitely been some tweaks to some sequences that were frustrating in the first game. But I think my point is more and I agree with what you're saying with the 4K TV. I'm sure it would look nicer. I don't disagree with that at all. But I think it's, the whole, the exponential leap kind of thing. The graphics were already nice before. I don't think that, and I'm sure they'll look fantastic on a 4K TV. I just don't know if this would just... make that huge of an impact on how I feel about this game, because I already think it was a great game regardless. And if someone was in a position where they were I've never played Dead Space before, and they had a system where they could already play it, I would not necessarily be like, oh, you need to buy a brand new system. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
I feel like you not having...
Did I break you? Are you dead?
No. Hold on. No, I'm trying to think of the way to word this. I feel like you not having the appropriate equipment is going to diminish the returns of this significantly to the point where you've had a very bad first experience with next gen by not having the correct equipment to
It's not a
experience
bad
it.
experience. I'm not saying it's bad.
No. What I'm saying is you're very subdued and pulled back. It's all right. Is like not what you would be saying if you were playing this on a 4K TV.
Well, you know what the thing is, though, Brandon? You got to think about it this way. I play most
Mm-hmm.
of my games on the Switch. I really don't care about graphics, and I've never really cared about graphics. I just want a functional game.
Mm-hmm.
And this game is very functional, and it looks definitively better.
So how it's it's running at 60 FPS now. So how much smoother does it feel to you? I guess that would be my other question. Now that you're actually playing a game that's 60 FPS. Unless you don't have it on performance mode. I actually don't know if you do. Did you even change any of the settings?
No.
Please do that. Please do that. See if there's a performance mode option and come back to me, okay? Because here's the thing. I feel like there are two things that the new consoles do really well. Mm-hmm. One, look incredibly pretty. Like, just incredibly pretty. And then two, they play very smoothly if you decide to be like, yeah, I don't want them to look incredibly pretty. So, like, you get one or the other one.
Mm-hmm. And I would say, too, actually, another comparison I would have for this, I mean, it reminds me very much of, like, what they did with, like, Metroid Prime Remaster. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a nice, pretty shell on an already great game.
Yeah.
Kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the tweaks, and it's been so long since I played through the original Dead Space that I don't quite remember a bunch of the, like, changes. Like, I vaguely remember. I was like, I don't remember this being this way. But I couldn't, like, quantify how different it is. Because the sequences are similar enough that I'm like, I remember these things happening. And generally doing the same things.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, how it's changed, is where some of the tricky things are. And some of the graphical stuff that they do is pretty nice. Like, it's, like, you'll actually see, like, the limbs take damage and stuff. Yeah. Like, you'll see, like, skin and stuff, like, shedding off and, getting down to bone or whatever. And that's cool looking. So that's pretty nice. It does still have, like, one of the things I wish they tweaked a little bit better was the checkpoint system. Still kind of wonky. So,
okay.
Like, you'll get into points where it'll be like, you get into a room with, like, maybe some optimal health or weapons, and you just kind of get into, like, a loop where you're just kind of stuck there for a little bit until you can figure out a way to, like, wrangle around it and be creative. Sometimes it's all it is, just a little bit of creativity. And sometimes it just kind of sucks. So it just depends on where you go from it. But the changes otherwise, I really, in terms of, like, Isaac having, like, a voice and, like, a face or whatever. And I liked his old face better, I will say. I think he looks kind of creepy in this new version.
They just use the voice actor's face, I believe.
Yeah, I think they just used the real voice actor's face this time. Because there was some, like, amalgamation thing I believe they did with the last game. Which is fine. Whatever. No big deal. And I do think that, like, his thoughts are just kind of, it's nice to just kind of get more insight into the story. So you have that. They did add a bit more detail here and there. They did kind of make things fit more into the universe. So there's that. There is, like, a secret ending now that you can get if you play the game a second time and go and collect some stuff, which isn't really, like, that exciting from what I've seen. So, because I know when Nick beat it, he just said to YouTube it, and so he did. So I already looked this out. It was. It just kind of seems like it contributes towards Dead Space 2.
Yeah, I mean, they've already talked about. I guess I should have put this in the news, but they've already talked about wanting to make Dead Space 2 and 3, remake those as well. That was a news story today, or this week.
Yeah, I think actually I sent it to you the same day that I got this. Because EA sent out a survey to people asking if they would be interested in 2 and 3. So hopefully people responded favorably. I don't think 2 would need much tweaking, honestly. It was a pretty great game in its own right. And, I honestly think that once I'm done with 1, I'm going to go play 2 anyways. Just whatever. I already have it on my Xbox, so why not? And then the third one, I enjoyed it, but I understand why people don't like it. And so that one, if they do decide to go that direction, would need a bit more tweaking. So,
I mean, 3 would need the most tweaking of everything.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I agree. Because it had some stuff that worked really well. It had some stuff that didn't really work really well. And how much they want to rebalance things and rework things, I don't know. You probably want to integrate Awakening into it directly.
Yeah.
Because I think that kind of completes that story a bit better and sets up what they would be going towards. Well, I mean, there also is a case that, maybe they should just skip the remakes and head right to Dead Space 4 and just be like, hey, here's where things went. And that would be totally fine too. So, I don't know. Otherwise, though, I mean, really, overall, I am very happy with it.
Okay.
Like I said, I think it's great. Like I said, though, I think the big thing for me, though, is the gameplay. While it is definitely better, if you didn't have a system where you could play it and you wanted to play Dead Space, play the first one. It's a great series. And, you got 2 and 3 after that to keep going. And then even other things like Extraction, or there's I love the Dead Space lore. I got kind of sucked back into it. I watched the first movie last night too, the Downfall.
Oh,
Like
okay.
they did those anime movies.
Yeah, I own them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because EA made some they made the Dead Space one and they made the oh goodness, I also own this one, Dante's Inferno.
Oh yeah.
Movie. I own both of them.
Yeah, and I think they're really fun. And I think EA did some books for them too. Even really.
Oh, okay.
I think they did at least 2 novels, if not 3. I know I read one of them, and I have one of the graphic novels for it too. Not 2. I don't even remember. But yeah, no, it's great the stuff that they have in the series. I think is excellent. I'm glad that they've given it another chance. I hope that it sells well enough for them to justify making more.
I think it will.
I think it will too. Although I did see that Callisto Protocol has outsold it, but it's also kind of unfair comparison.
Wait, Callisto Protocol outsold it?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
That game was garbage.
Yeah, but it's also available on systems that are not hard to come by, and more people have. So I could see why if you just look at it like that. Because the Dead Space remake is only available on, PS5, Xbox One, or Xbox Series X rather, and like PC or whatever. But Callisto Protocol is available on like PS4 as well, Xbox One as well. You got more options.
All right, so it's a little bit okay. There's a little bit more to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So launch sales were more at launch for Callisto Protocol than for Dead Space for its launch week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if it's surpassed that now, that it's actually like known to be a good game as opposed to Callisto Protocol, but yeah.
And I think really that's all we have data-wise anyway, because Dead Space came out at the end of January.
Yeah.
So we really, and we're still in the middle of February. Well, the end of February. Those numbers we won't see until later. So we don't really know if there's been much progression there. I would hope so. I actually like Dead Space. I had to travel to a different store to go and get, because it was not anything nearby. And I got the last copy at Best Buy. That was not even the closest one to me. So, because all the Best Buy stores were out, all the Target stores were out, I was not going to go 10 feet near a GameStop, but they didn't really seem like they had stock anyways. And I didn't feel like waiting. So
there's no point going to a GameStop either.
I know. Cannot support that financial tragedy. So yeah. But yeah, no, I really enjoy it. The other things too, like the controller, I didn't realize that the new controller is just so exactly like the Xbox One controller.
Yep, as opposed to the PS5 controller, which is a totally different beast.
Mm-hmm.
The Xbox One controller and the Series X controller are pretty much interchangeable.
Yeah, which is nice. I like the idea of them being backwards compatible, really.
Mm-hmm.
I know the Xbox the new controller has an extra button, but I don't know if are there any other features? I really couldn't get a definitive answer when I
not
Googled it.
Really, unless you have like the expensive $200 controller, and then it's like, well, of course, there's extra features.
Yeah, of course, that makes sense. But I mean, yeah, it's nice that they have. I think it's a great idea to have controllers seen as something that should be continued linearly as well.
Yeah,
not like we're revolutionizing controllers every time. So if you keep them so that they can still play the old games, and it fits in with Microsoft's, idea of keeping their libraries open and accessible.
I will say, I do think the DualSense controller is just infinitely better, though. It really is. I hope one day you also get to experience that one, because that controller is just so different. To the point where, like, if I had the choice, like, if Dead Space was like on PlayStation's service, the one I'm talking about, the one where it's their fake ass Game Pass service. I would choose to play it on that over Xbox, even if I got it for free, because of the fact that I feel, at least, the difference in gameplay is so substantial with the PlayStation DualSense 5 that it can make a world of difference in the way you experience the game. For like instance, right? I play Call of Duty still. I know. Oh my goodness. And like each gun does have a different feeling to it when you pull the trigger with like a DualSense 5 controller. And I really dig that element. And I know some other games have done that as well. And I would hope that Dead Space would do that too with its with its different weapons that it has.
Yeah.
Not 100% sure if it did or not, but I would want to experience that game like that more so than just on a normal controller if it was an option.
Which makes sense. I mean, Dead Space has some pretty wild weapons. I mean, that was the thing that
Mm-hmm.
was always really cool about it as well. You know, you don't have your traditional stuff.
I mean, it's one of the major reasons why I like Returnal so much.
Mm-hmm.
Because it on PS5, like every gun operated differently. And when you would fire the secondary, it wouldn't be fired by, holding left trigger and then or pressing R1 or anything like that. No, it would depend on how much you were squeezing down on the normal firing control.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you would fire a secondary. So like if I lightly press R2, it's just a normal shot. If I hold down R2, it will actually fire my secondary.
Okay.
And it was really pretty innovative for a control scheme, and I really want more of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. The tricky thing is, like anything else, the third party's going to take advantage of it or not,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the tricky thing. Although
Yeah, that's very true.
I think, although I have to say, was worse my wording on this. The likelihood of me trying games on that controller have just greatly diminished because of this.
I mean, you have a Series S now. I mean, X now. Sorry, Series X
Yeah.
now. So, I mean, like, why would you?
Yeah, that I just have far less incentive to get a PlayStation 5. So, because I mean, it's the same problem that we had before. I mean, there's still not a lot of compelling stuff with the next generation systems. And now with it just being limited to Sony exclusives, that number's gotten even lower. So,
yeah, exactly.
Maybe someday.
Maybe.
I'm just not in a rush.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I looked at my PlayStation 4 the other day, and it's like, there's so much dust on it. It's been so long since it's been used. So, yeah. But it gives me a reason to go back through and maybe catch up on the few things that were next gen that I just still haven't picked up yet. So, although there's still a lot of things that weren't exclusive anyways.
I mean, you've got Game Pass, so you've got a lot of stuff you can play.
I did download Atomic Hearts. I haven't played it yet.
Hey.
So,
anything else that piqued your interest that you were looking at on Game Pass?
Jurassic Park Evolution or whatever. There's a second one on there. I was very excited.
Okay.
I know that's not what you were expecting.
No. I mean, I didn't even know that was on there, actually. So
it is. I was so excited when I saw it. I was like, yes. There's that. I'm probably going to do, like, what is it, Hi-Fi Rush or whatever, too.
Hi-Fi Rush is great.
And then there's a bunch of other stuff that I was looking through, and I was like, oh, I've played this before, but I might be interested in playing it again, or whatever. So, I might go back through and pick up some other things. We'll see. I mean, I have it. There's no reason not to use it.
Yeah, exactly. So, of titles that are like smaller titles, I recommend Death's Door. Death's Door is really good. It's an indie game, very fun. Tunic, since you can check that out, that is on there, and that game is awesome.
Oh yeah, I didn't remember seeing that when I was looking.
I'm actually literally going through games right now on Game Pass. I'm looking at them all. If you haven't played the Mass Effect remaster,
was that on there? I saw the first one, but I didn't notice the second one.
Remaster's on there.
Oh, okay. That might be
that's all three of them. So there's that.
Monster Hunter Rise.
Yeah, it's all three. That's Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
And all the DLC from all of it ever.
Yeah.
That's all. It's like hundreds of gigs. So
makes sense.
There's that. You already played Persona 5, but you could play Persona 4 and Persona 3 now because you actually have a console that has all of them on Game Pass.
Good. I don't know if I would though. That's the tricky thing. Because I do just still enjoy playing things on my Switch. Regardless, I like the portability of it. It's nice when I'm not stuck on the TV. I mean, that's my biggest complaint about Dead Space right now, because I do play it, and I can only play it when the TV is available, which is not as often as.
I see. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that would bring me to my other point. You have a phone.
Gross. I know you can. I know where you're going with it. I don't know. I'm not feeling it.
I mean, I would give it a try on some smaller titles, or like titles that are like, I don't know, like for instance a turn-based game or something like that. Or maybe a building game such as the Jurassic Park game that you're talking about, something like that. Because I mean, it's included in your subscription that you got.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just I brought that up only because of the fact that you said, I only have the TV so often. So.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I guess it's worth trying. So.
I feel like it's come a long way. Is it perfect? No, absolutely not. But I do feel like it's come a long way that is a viable option if you do want to play a game portably, as opposed to, just sitting down and playing it on a TV. So yeah, that's the only reason I even suggested it in the first place.
Yeah. I might try it. Let's see. I don't know what else to say. maybe I'll try it.
Yeah.
Anyways, I guess I don't know if I have anything else to say Xbox wise.
Okay.
I think that's it for now. I'm sure we'll be back to it again soon.
I
am like almost done with Dead Space 2. I think I'm like at chapter 8, so I've gotten through like a good chunk of it already.
Okay.
So yeah. Otherwise, I am playing Kirby Return to Dreamland Deluxe. I ended up buying it.
I saw that. That's also on your list.
Yeah, and because I decided to do the voucher thing, and so I put one of my vouchers onto Breath of the Wild 2, obviously. Because it made a lot of sense, because I gave him $70, so to get for essentially 50 seemed good.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, I was like, I'll play Kirby. I feel like it. And, what?
I feel like that's such a waste.
Okay, so let me tell you, I'm really enjoying it a lot, actually.
I just meant a voucher waste.
Hey.
I don't know. I would choose a new game over it.
It's a brand new game. It just
no, it's not. No, it's not. That's not how that works, and you know it. You know that's not how that works. Don't you even
get more vouchers anyways. It's not like I'm like limited in the amount of vouchers.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So I was like, I'm like, I really want to play it. You get the voucher, and plus, when you couple it with Breath of the Wild now, with all its extra priceness, it's basically just a $30 game. It's a steal. Yeah, steal, Brandon.
I don't know, man. I do not know how I feel about that.
But no, so actually, I've been incredibly surprised by it. So it looks really nice. It runs really well. So that was good. Not that it should. It was a Wii game at one point. So you would hope it would. But they tweaked some things to make it run a little bit better, because you get like those super Kirby powers or whatever.
Yeah.
And it used to be, I remember, like the animation to use like them was forever. And it was annoying. They sped it up significantly, so it's much less annoying. They did some new abilities. Sand is one of them, and like some robot thing. I don't remember what they call it. Where you're kind of like a mech. Like that one's in there too. They're cool. They're neat. The mini games are pretty rad though. That's actually what I like. If Nick was here, I would recommend that he would probably enjoy them. They did a bunch of. I don't know if they were the original or not. I honestly don't remember. But there's like 12 mini games to play here.
Okay.
And some of them are like kind of like 4-player, almost Mario Party style games. Like you have one where you have to go around, and I don't remember what the bad guy's name is, but he like flashes a book at you, and you have to like pick the book up like where it is there. There's a couple like battle ones, one where you have like blasters and you're shooting into each other on kind of like a isometric view. There's another one where you're on like this battle, like they call it. I forgot what they call it. It's the checkerboard something, but you're on basically like a chessboard looking thing, and you can shoot down like a row, and it'll just make all the blocks fall down that row, and you kind of like trap your opponents and make them like fall to their death. So it's just there are lots of like fun little things in there. They have like Kirby like Samurai like 100 or whatever, because it's, like why not have like it's like that game. It's a mini game that's been in Kirby for a while now. Where it's kind of like a dual thing where like the exclamation point will pop up and you got to press a button fast and like shoot the other person faster than they shoot you kind of thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like that, except this time you're a samurai and there's 100 of you and you try to be faster than everyone else. Wild. It's fun. So yeah, there's a lot of variety there. And then they added in like this whole kind of like achievement system thing. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun. I like I said, surprisingly have really been enjoying my time with it. Like a lot more than I thought I would. Like I would actually like highly recommend this 2D Kirby game. And that it's good. It's really good. It's probably one of the best 2D Kirby games that there is.
Nice.
So yeah, and like I said, it's got all those fun new modes on it. You can play the multiplayer like mini games like online. You have that. The other nice thing with Return to Dreamland is it does include like multiplayer for like the main like adventure thing, and like you can. I think there's an option so people can play as multiple Kirbys if they want, but then you can have someone play as like Meta Knight and someone play as King Dedede and someone play as like Waddle Dee.
All right,
so you got different ways to play through it. And then I haven't gotten to it yet because I have not beaten it, but there is that whole like epilogue game that they added that's definitively.
Oh yeah,
and that looks like it'd be a lot of fun. So I'm really excited for that too. So I don't know, it looks really good, and everything I played so far really good. And I said, I think they did a surprisingly good job polishing this up. I was not expecting it to be this nice. So, I mean, I guess it says little about my like threshold for purchasing this if I was being prepared to be disappointed, but I'm surprisingly very much enjoying it. So there's that. Yeah. I don't know. Did you have any questions on it? Otherwise,
nope. I do not. I do not have any questions about Kirby. Kirby is Kirby.
Yeah, Kirby's Kirby. And if you play them before, you play Kirby. Like they're not wildly different game to game. This one is a fun one. So, and my last thing I'll talk about with news because it fits more in with the news stuff. So, yeah,
sounds good.
Right. You ready to talk about your things?
Yeah. All right. So I said I was gonna get this game at some point last week. I said this, I believe, and Katie gifted it to me on my birthday. So I got THEATRHYTHM Final Bar Line.
I did try the demo out this week too.
It's great. It's so good.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I thought it was. I mean, I like the demo. Like, I like the gameplay. I think my thing with it is I'm not as attached to the songs, and I was. So yeah. And the demo didn't have like. There would have been other games I would have preferred to like play. But like this, I think the selections was like Final Fantasy 2, 7.
7's got good music. Very good music.
Yeah, but then you kind of start off at like the beginning, and the beginning music is kind of boring, and I was like,
I think every bit of Final Fantasy music has its place, and I think that's what I like most about it. I like starting from the beginning when you have the full game, and then getting to the end and experiencing that final like boss song or whatever. So eventually you get to like One Wing Angel in the Final Fantasy 7 tracks, and it's so good. So, I like.
Did not get that far. I did like 3 songs.
Yeah. So I like the element where essentially how it works is when you start up in the full game. First of all your stuff transfers over. So that's neat. That's really cool. So I already had one group of songs unlocked because they give you that key at the beginning of the demo where it's like, which one do you want to unlock, and ask you which group of songs you want. So I chose Final Fantasy 7 because I think Final Fantasy 7 has some excellent music.
Yeah.
And I played Final Fantasy 7 the rest of the way through on the full version. And the full version, about 5 songs into every group of songs, you get another key, which at that point you can then exit out and go to another like song area and like unlock it essentially, right? And use the key to play that song. So the songs I've unlocked so far are Final Fantasy 1, Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 10, and Final Fantasy 13. I believe those are all the ones I've unlocked so far. And you only have to play 5 songs from each to get a key. I did fully complete Final Fantasy 7. But when you're also playing them on top of just passing the songs, there are other things that are like little quests that you can do while playing it. And as you like level up your characters just by playing songs, you can complete those little quests better, and the little quests unlock different like icons for your characters, different little concept arts, this, that, and the other. It's just little things, but it's fun to try to complete the quests because some of them can actually be kind of hard, because some of them are like don't get hit, which essentially means never miss a note in the entire game, and those are fun because like I think okay, so I really like rhythm games. Rhythm games are one of my favorite genre ever. I personally, on the first 2 difficulties, find this game incredibly easy. Like I almost don't miss anything ever when playing this game on the first 2 difficulties. Now, the last 2 difficulties are fine, but they don't feel like a last 2 difficulties kind of difficulty. They feel like a higher end of like a hard mode, that more so than ultra hard god tier mode, that sort of thing. So I guess now granted there may be some songs later as I'm getting further into the game that may be way harder, but I feel like from the ones I've chosen so far that I listed, it's not that hard. So yeah, I do really like the game. I like unlocking new song. I like unlocking new songs based on different games, and then I also like getting the characters that come with it, and then taking those characters into other song-based, game, songs based on different Final Fantasy games. I like taking like KThis into fucking Final Fantasy 15 music, for instance, or something like that, and leveling him up there, and this, that, and the other. It's a really good game. It's a really, really solid game, and I don't feel like I have any complaints about it whatsoever, to be completely honest. I love. So one of the big things is there are 2 music types that I fucking adore. It's pretty much anything that's a JRPG by Square Enix. Like their music is just absolutely amazing. And then I also really like Sonic the Hedgehog music. I think Sonic the Hedgehog music in the pixel art games is incredible. And then I also think every Final Fantasy has like something good in its music. Like every single one of them. I don't even think I can think of a single bad Final Fantasy game music wise. So I really dig the fact that they dig into more obscure ones, even though some of them are like DLC, in order to get that music. And I recognize the music because I do play like all the Final Fantasy games or the spin-offs and the games that are Final Fantasy adjacent, such as Kingdom Hearts, The World Ends With You, those sort of things. Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, the Saga games, all those are the games that I have played, and the fact that those have music from those games in here as well is just pretty awesome. So
yeah, no, it's a nice plus.
And then I already love the Nier series, and Nier also has music in this game. So
is that by default or is it downloadable?
So that is also DLC, and that comes out at the end of this month, and I haven't got to play that one yet. But,
okay.
Yeah,
I'm sure you will.
I guess end of next month, because I'm saying this month as in when this episode will be released, so the end of March. So, yeah.
I did see Nier was on sale the other day on the Switch.
It's great. It's a great game. Apparently, the Switch version is actually very good too. So
I know, that's why I was thinking about it. But I have too many things on my plate right now, and it's like I cannot right now. I'm like, I know it will be on sale again. I can wait till next time.
Oh, so, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, basically I played THEATRHYTHM, and then I did my birthday stream on Saturday, where I streamed like fucking 12 hours of Tower Unite. Man, Tower Unite is so good. So I believe I've set this up before in the past, but essentially Tower Unite is like a digital play space. When you spawn into the game, you can pick from like characters that have been uploaded onto the workshop. So for instance, I could be like walking around talking to 64 other people, dressed as Joel from The Last of Us, for instance. There's a little example, I guess. So anything you can think of, it's probably there that you can dress up as. And I'm not talking like just put on his clothes. I'm like talking about like your skin is you are Joel from The Last of Us.
Okay.
your character model is. And there's a big tower in the middle, and the tower has like everyone's living space, and you can like customize it similar to like Animal Crossing, but whereas like Animal Crossing and stuff like that, in the living space in this game, you can like play music from like Spotify that everyone else can hear. You can play YouTube videos to watch with other people and that sort of thing. You know, like sit down and watch movies and that kind of deal. And then that's like not even what I really care about. I don't really care about that element because there's a lot to building, there's a lot to making that look good, and I just do not care. But they also have a fully functioning arcade that have like all the games that you would think of like arcade ticket games there. So you've got like crane games, you've got coin pushers, you've got where you like drop the ball inside the little like the circle, like the super drop, and you have to like drop it into the jackpot circle or bounce it into the one in the middle, that sort of deal. And they also have like other things like skee ball and the game where you have to like roll the ball around this giant circle and get it to drop in the hole at the very bottom. Throwing balls into birds. It's just the kind of games you see in actual arcades are in this game also, and you can go around with actual people that are playing the game as well and like play all these games like multiplayer and like just chill and hang out and whatnot. And they have like billiards rooms and stuff like that. And then they also have like a giant casino where you can play blackjack and you can play slot machines and Keno and bingo and Texas Hold'em and all this other stuff. And then on top of all of that, there are mini games you can play, which are other fully functional games. So there's like an entire mini golf course with like 12 different world types. So you've got 12 different 18-hole courses that are based on different things. So you have one like based off of candy, one based off of like old time, like, dragons, castles, that sort of thing. You got ones based off of like islands and this, that, and the other. And basically we played through everything we possibly could, and a bunch of friends and I were just hanging out and chilling for my birthday, and I streamed the entire thing. And I had a lot of fun doing so. So that was pretty much the only other thing I did last week.
Okay.
That sounds like it's a super good game though. Like, and they just added VR to it, so I know like it's even better now. But I haven't got to play it in VR yet because I just don't have the setup currently right now. But I'm gonna share it with you so you can like look at it under general. But yeah, it's super cool. There's a lot of stuff to do here, and it's very fun. So yeah. It's just a fun way to chill and hang out for quite a few hours with friends, just doing different things.
Oh, it looks really neat.
Yeah, it's super cool. And like, I'm pretty sure the first video that played for you is like the arcade when you clicked it. And then if you look at all the other videos, it shows like everything else, like the fishing, the mini golf, there's like a kart racer, there's like a fake ass monkey ball game, and then there's like an entire fully functioning casino. It's just, there's so much to do, and it's actually pretty crazy. Bowling, there's bowling there. There's trivia games. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, so. And that was essentially how I spent my Saturday. And then before that was just like Final Fantasy, THEATRHYTHM. So that's all I played.
Okay. Yeah, sounds pretty good. You ready to move on to news?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. What do we got in the news? Pokemon!
We do.
Yeah, so there was a Pokemon Presents this last week. I guess it was disappointing to a lot of people. But
I thought it was just nothing. There was a whole lot of nothing there. I did not care. Me and Katie sat down and watched the entire 25-minute video, and we were just like, that's it? Really?
I just watched the highlights.
It was
surprising for 25 minutes. You figured they would have a lot more.
It's kind of shit.
But they definitely do not have like Nintendo's finesse in doing Nintendo Directs.
No, absolutely not.
It's just kind of like
10 minutes was spent talking about like the Pokemon League card game and Unite and stuff, the tournament they'll be having in Japan, and it's like, cool. And then they're like, and now we have a special thing to show you. We're going to unveil the marquee artwork for the venue. And it's like, I don't give a fuck. Like, why are you doing this?
Nobody cares. They're there for the exciting things. So so that was not terribly exciting for a lot of it. So yeah, that they talked about the trading card game. Maybe granted the trading card set that they showed.
The only thing that they showed off that I thought was cool was the remake of the original Pokemon card set. That's sick. I don't know how much it's going to cost, but I really liked the idea of that.
It looked very classy.
It did.
So there was that. They announced 2 Netflix shows. The Pokemon Concierge.
That looks awesome
to me.
No, I love that. I love stop motion. I love stop motion so much. Like some of my favorite movies are like all the ones that are made by Leica, which are like the people that make the Coraline movie, if you've ever seen that. Box Trolls, stuff like that. Yeah, I love stop motion. So I actually thought this looked really cool. That was my thought. So we're on 2 totally different sides of the spectrum. But my other thought was it's Netflix, so it'll probably be canceled after half a season because of how much money they're hemorrhaging.
Probably, and they'll be like, although I think Pokemon actually does well for them, honestly. So
is Pokemon even on Netflix?
Oh yeah, they have the rights to like distribute the new seasons.
Okay, like so that's probably where Concierge came from. Concierge, whatever the fuck it is. I think it looks really good. But I also really like stop motion. So I'm guessing you don't.
I don't necessarily dislike it. I just was not a fan of the art style for this. Maybe when we actually see more. Like, I'll change my mind, but at least initially, the initial trailer, I was not like wowed by.
I wasn't super wowed by it, but I did think it had a lot of potential, and the fact that it was stop motion already made me happy. It takes a lot to make a stop motion show. So immediately my initial thought is they're probably not going to half-ass it because it already takes so much work to make a stop motion show in the first place. So this will probably be pretty good.
Yeah, hopefully that's the case. But so I mean, I guess we'll see. I don't think I don't even think they gave like a release date for that.
No, absolutely nothing. Nothing was given other than like 2 clips, and that was it.
Yeah. So we'll see. And then
I get to make the same joke I made in my Discord now.
What's that?
Pokemon Sleep is for single people, because how the fuck are you supposed to have Pokemon Sleep sitting next to your bedside when you have 2 people in the same bed? Like, how would that work? How would that work? That's what I'm curious about.
Don't know. Not sure. I think that
I'm asking the hard hitting question.
Also, I'm amazed at the name of the accessory. The Pokemon.
Oh, the Pokemon Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were making fun of that name also. I called it Pokemon Plus Positive. And Pokemon Plus T. Because Pokemon Plus sounds really stupid. And
it's dumb that they like wrote it out and did a plus sign.
Yes.
Instead of just like plus or whatever.
It's fucking garbage.
Yeah. So that was just kind of whatever. It also has functionality in Pokemon Go.
Yep.
And they did talk about Pokemon Go stuff, if that's your thing. Like, it allows you to transfer some stuff between Scarlet and Violet, whatever. Pokemon Unite.
You can tell how much you care. Whatever. It's fucking whatever.
Pokemon Unite, you got Zacian, cool, whatever. Pokemon Cafe, you got the new starters available, whatever. And then, then they finally got onto Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which I think was the big thing everyone wanted anyways, was the news on that. They did finally put out a new patch yesterday.
I know. I checked it out, actually.
And you were wowed by how much better it was.
No. Not exactly. However, I did see a significant improvement to the point where it wasn't stuttering as bad. That was something that I was actually kind of impressed with. The big, huge open part that's like got all those like skyscraper and like the town, like that town. I drove around with my my bike Pokemon for I'd say 5 minutes or so. And I had one single stutter, and it was because I started trying to make it break.
Okay, that's pretty
So,
good.
I actually think that there is some significant improvements here. I'm not willing to give them the benefit of the doubt yet because I haven't tried it everywhere else, and I didn't really feel like trying it everywhere else because I just reinstalled the game. And I just was like, I'm really tired. I don't really want to do much, but I do want to see if there's a noticeable difference at the very beginning. After just booting it and checking it out for myself. And there was a noticeable difference. I would not say the difference is in the frame rate. The frame rate is still pretty shit. However, its consistency of being shit instead of being turbo shit is way better now. And that's honestly I still don't think it's acceptable with how bad its frame rate is. It just isn't. But that is something that does have a marginal improvement with this new patch, in my opinion, just from the little bit of time that I checked it out.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, I only
stability
hopped on.
better, frame rate no. You know.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can tell you they didn't really improve the Terra battles at all because that
I have
is
not
primarily
checked
what
them
I
out
played.
yet. Okay.
Because so one of the things they announced during the event was there was going to be 2 weeks where there'd be some new Paradox Pokemon that you could catch. And one is the Paradox Pokemon Suicune, who looks sick. I think it's called like the Waking Wild or something.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
Mm-hmm. And he basically looks like a Velociraptor Suicune. Love it. He's like bipedal and has like two tails now and kind of dinosaurish. And then the second one was I don't remember how to say this Pokemon's name. It's almost like Verizon, like Bizarrian, whatever. And that is kind of I forget. It's the Future Paradox one, so it's like Iron Leaf, I think. I caught the Suicune already. I had difficulty with the other one because he's a little bit trickier, and you never know what kind of group you're going to get when you're playing in random battles, and you get people that bring dumb shit into the terror raids still because they don't seem to still understand how they work. So, yeah. But they look. I think both the designs look pretty solid for what they have, and I'm excited to see what more they have to it. They did announce 2 DLC packs coming this year for it as well. And they both give you new areas and new Pokemon to explore. What was it called? The something Area Zero is what the pack is called. But the first one gives you kind of like a Japanese festival looking area to go to as part of a school trip. And the second one, you enroll as like an exchange student in Blueberry Academy. And you get to do that. There's a new legendary Pokemon, which is like a turtle looking thing.
Yes, it kind of looks like a lampshade. You know those glass lampshades?
Yeah.
Yeah, It looks like that.
I agree. That actually is a good description for it. And then there is the one for the first DLC pack, the one that's kind of the Japanese festival area, has like some sort of masked looking Pokemon that's going to be for that DLC. I'm sure they'll both be incredible. They really didn't show much off, really, to kind of describe what they are, but we do know that they're going to include new areas and new Pokemon, and it looks like there's going to be some character threads with new characters between the two. As they showed off, some of like the art for it has included some new characters between both arts, so that will be nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it. We just really don't know too terribly much about it yet. I do like the core Pokemon Scarlet Violet gameplay, so I think that the whatever they have DLC wise, I think will be interesting at least. So, and I do like the designs of the new Pokemon that they've put out for it.
Yeah,
this game had great new Pokemon, and everything they showed off so far has looked pretty good. So we'll see. We'll see as we get closer. They did announce that home support is still coming, but not yet. And I think that's it. I don't remember if there's anything else worthwhile for Pokemon to talk about.
I can't really think of anything either. I'm trying to, but it's really
the only other bit that I wanted to talk about with it. Well, I guess 2 bits. One, a lot of people's disappointment stemmed from the fact that the Pokemon did not appear on like the NSO or the expansion pack.
That's what I was expecting, and it did not happen. And I was like, oh, okay, well, this kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's surprising. I mean, surprising, not surprising. I kind of always felt yeah, it would make a lot of sense for them to put it on there. But I think we talked about it last week. Like, I was also like, I can't see them doing it for free. So if they're gonna do it, they would have to have some sort of incentive to do it. I could see them releasing more of like a Pokemon channel where you could like play the games like that, as opposed to having them free on the downloadable service. But yeah, it just seems like they haven't done it either yet. And also, too, you figured you would have heard something about, say, like Pokemon Stadium, and we didn't hear anything about that yet either. So, because that was already announced for the N64, seemed like a good day for them to, update or whatever on it, but they did not. So TBD. Second thing was this whole 4chan rumor thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you looked into it at all when I sent it to you yesterday or whatever. But so last week on 4chan, which everyone's hot spot for rumors that are bullshit, someone posted like a paragraph about the new DLC, and they spilled the beans on everything. Everything they had in there was accurate. They talked about the 2 different DLCs for the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. They talked about the legendary Pokemon that are going to be in there. They talked about the DLC for Suicune and the other Pokemon, the other Paradox Pokemon that came out yesterday. They were very accurate. There was no discrepancies in what they talked about. And at the end of their paragraph, they're like, and we're also working on a next generation graphical upgrade patch for Scarlet and Violet that's due out at the end of this year for the new Switch. So everyone's like, okay, so does this mean the new Switch is coming out this year? A lot of wild speculation based on that, because everything else they said was accurate, and you wouldn't have gotten like 100% accuracy unless you knew what you were talking about. So a lot of people are speculating that the new Switch is coming out this year. It means it's going to be backwards compatible likely, and it's going to have be able to play new games with upgraded graphics if they support it with like a patch or whatever.
Okay.
So it is interesting. There's not really too much more to say about that, because they didn't really offer much else other than the fact that it exists. But yeah, it's kind of nice if that is true.
Okay. Well, we will see.
Yeah, we'll see. I feel like that will be kind of well, I think we speculated on it for a bit with Tears of the Kingdom a while ago.
Yeah.
Like I think with like maybe the first or second trailer, because there was a Digital Foundry analysis of one of the trailers, and they're like, this graphical whatever is not possible on the Switch at all.
Yeah.
And they're like Nintendo's not known for running things on
other hardware,
not big hardware, and making a trailer out of it. So they're like, this is probably coming from somewhere, and it makes sense too if at one point they were thinking about releasing an upgraded Switch, which stemmed from which I think was either heavily speculated or confirmed at one point, that the OLED Switch was originally supposed to be an upgraded Switch, but they just could not secure the chips for it. It's possible that that whatever that is has evolved into something new now, because obviously they're always working on new hardware, so maybe that is something that we could expect at the end of this year. Don't know. It is exciting, but I feel like that's something that we would see probably in the summer anyways. Makes sense when they do like their summer updates. And also would kind of explain why if they're expecting a light half of the year, maybe end half of the year,
unless we get more information sometime soon and it releases alongside the game.
Alongside Zelda?
Yes.
It could. I mean, I feel like we're getting into like the crunch time for announcement, but it is possible. But I mean, at this point, we're like 2 months and some change out. And so if they were going to do it, they'd have to do it like wicked soon.
True.
My guess is my money's probably on like either a September release, or they slip into their favorite Friday before Black Friday spot, and be like, hey,
I'm gonna say, let me check something. All right, let me check something real quick. Tears of the Kingdom release date May 12th. All right, let me check something else now. Okay. I'm going to tentatively say we get some news by the end of March, with pre-orders going live in April and it releases alongside the game, kind of like how the Switch released alongside the original Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
I know it's a completely ridiculous thing to say, but I could see it happening.
It could. I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, stranger things have happened.
So I don't think they would want an inferior version of Tears of the Kingdom to exist without the superior one also being out there to push sales of the new system.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it is a $70 game also leads me to believe that, much like how Xbox has the whole pay $70, play it on both consoles, easy peasy, that sort of thing, it'll be the same thing. That's my assumption, but I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. That is a good point, though.
Mm-hmm.
And I would even go as far to say is even if they don't ultimately release the console with Breath of the Wild, I wouldn't be surprised if they announce something with it if that is the case. Be like, hey, this is coming later this year, and if you purchase it, you will be able to do this.
There's also some really weird shit going on, because I don't know if you've seen it. So apparently, on the official website, it was noticed February 17th that the bottom of the site, it said full version of the game is required to use DLC.
Oh, I did see that there was a DLC leak thing.
So what do they mean by full version of the game? What the fuck does that mean?
Is there a demo coming?
I don't know.
That's what I would guess that they meant. Yeah, I don't know. Could be. Yeah, I mean that's my best guess. I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of people. I will say though, just kind of side thought on that too. A lot of people were like, "Oh my god, surprise DLC!" The first game had DLC.
Yeah.
And Nintendo's been.
But it was that happened later, not at the beginning.
Yes, but I can't remember how around
6 months.
6 months to what?
6 months after the game release was when they announced the DLC.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, it's possible, but maybe they're going to have to. I mean, the other thing with it coming out in May, like it is, and Nintendo already have done a direct that covers their first half of the year games. There is inevitably going to be a Zelda blowout direct. There has to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they need more information out there. They need people to. We still know nothing about this game, so they have to. There just has to be more information out there. I mean, granted, I guess they could just drip it on Twitter, but usually with the bigger titles, they'll do a full blown trick, like what they did with Xenoblade, not that long ago. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. I'm expecting to go kind of more full blown direct kind of look, and then that's probably where we'll talk about the DLC. And like I said, if there's a new system coming and it's not coming with launch, I bet they'll be like, hey, there is a new system coming out later this year, and we're not ready to show it yet. But when it comes out, you will be able to play Tears of the Kingdom on this new system, backwards compatible with better graphics. And everyone will be like, oh my god, that's incredible. And Nintendo would be like, I know. And
you can thank us later.
Yeah. So that's interesting stuff going on there. So we'll see. The art book also leaked for it too.
Did it?
Yeah, the full art book for it. I guess it was not anything like there's a lot of new stuff in there, but nothing that really spoiled the story, at least obviously.
Okay.
So the wording I kind of saw someone use, and I think it's fair, is if you want to glean any information from this, you're gonna need some of those Zelda YouTubers to go in there and analyze it, because some of the stuff is it's pretty obtuse on its own. So you just need a bit more than what's there. But I mean, it looks nice. It looks like they've added quite a bit of stuff there. Like I said, it's just without the context for what it is, it was kind of left guessing. So.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was a pretty decent chunk. It was 200 some pages, I believe. So it's a good amount of stuff. Yeah, that's all. I think that's all the Nintendo news, really.
Are you sure?
I think so. Unless you can think of anything else.
Not really.
Okay. Do you want to talk about Splatoon? Or not Splatoon? What? The state of play? I was thinking of Splatoon when we were talking about it, because the new season started today.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I forget what they call it, the spring season already. But the new weapons and the new stages and stuff all come out. There's a big run this weekend with the new boss, Ouroboros, which I think we talked
Before
about.
I talk about the state of play, I would like to talk about the thing that I was right about again.
Yeah.
And that's Final Fantasy 16.
Uh-oh.
No. Yeah, I mean, it's just okay. So you were on here, Nick was on here, I was on here. We were talking about Final Fantasy 16, and I said it looks like they're going for a character action game with like a Game of Thrones vibe to it. And I believe it was you and Nick who said, well, Final Fantasy is always about warring kingdoms. It's not really so much Game of Thrones as it is. That's just what Final Fantasy does. No, they are literally aping Game of Thrones. That is exactly what they're going for. That was announced today after people got to play, I think it was 12 hours of the game today. So, Final Fantasy 16 is a Game of Thrones Final Fantasy. All the gritty action, anger, political drama elements of Game of Thrones that made it interesting in the first few seasons, that is what Final Fantasy 16 is. And it is a character action game similar to Devil May Cry, is what it is being described as, in a Final Fantasy universe set in like a dark, gritty universe similar to Game of Thrones. So, mark down 2 that I've gotten completely right, that no one believed me when I said that is exactly what it will be. Because the first one was Jedi Fallen Order, where I said, that's a Souls-like, and everyone was like, no. And then, yeah, it was. So, 2 for 2. Let's go.
Well, you got your big one coming up soon. Well, next month.
Yeah. Actually. Oh, dude, I'm so excited. I actually get to talk about that, too, now because of the State of Play, because it was included in the State of Play.
And look heinous.
No, it looked fucking excellent. And not only that, but it did some very interesting things. I'm guessing you did not see anything to do with it, right?
No, I didn't watch anything from the State of Play.
Okay, so let me tell you, first and foremost, you remember those boss fights that were QTEs? Those are actual boss fights now.
Oh, that's good.
So they've changed it. So, for instance, the Kaiser fight with the knife, that's an actual knife fight in the game now.
Okay.
That you have to take, you have to take part in with your actual fucking knife. So that's pretty fucking nuts, and it looked really good. They added Mercenaries mode back. So there will be that. Apparently, they're going to have a VR mode in the future for it. I mean, this game just looked awesome. They took a lot of the things that were kind of old and outdated of the game, such as, like I said, several of the parts that were just like cutscenes or QTEs, and they made them actual gameplay segments in the trailer for it, and it looked really, really good. So yeah, it actually made me even more excited for the game after seeing it. So that, I feel like that prediction is getting closer and closer. It's getting very close now. So there we go. In fact, I actually ended up buying that game after I saw the trailer. So I will have that game day one.
Okay. Can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah, I'm super excited for it. Moving on. Let's talk about it. So they showed 5 VR games. I'm gonna be honest, not really impressed.
Okay.
Granted, obviously I was looking at them as 2D games and not as VR games. So it's not fair to make that assumption, but the general game content didn't wow me, and I didn't really care that much. So there's that. They showed Green Hell, which I already know is a pretty good VR game, but it already exists, so whatever. They showed Before Your Eyes, which I actually Before Your Eyes, which I actually think is a very interesting concept, and I think the game already exists. So I'm not 100% sure, but I'm going to double check. Yeah, Before Your Eyes already exists on Steam, so there's that. I do think it's a very interesting concept, though. So the way this game works, and I will give this one a special little nod because of how interesting of a concept it is, you are being ferried after you have passed away, and you're being shown your life and everything. Essentially, like the old additive of your life flashing before your eyes. At the end of your death. However, the way it works is every time you blink while wearing the headset, you're taken to another moment in the character's life that you're playing as, and you're given more information on and more backstory on their on their life, showing what they lived through and that sort of thing. I think that's a really cool, neat idea where every time you, the player, actually blinks and opens your eyes, you're in a different part of the game. I think that's super interesting, but it already exists. It's just porting of an old title to PSVR 2, and I just really don't care that much. I'd rather just play that on like my Oculus Quest 2 or something instead. Other than that, they announced Chichia. I think that's how it's pronounced. I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, yeah.
The PlayStation 5 game we've seen in the past where like you can turn into the animals because you're like one with the animals and the island and everything and whatnot. That one that they advertised for like, I don't know, like 4 years now. Yep. So they showed more on that game, and then they announced that it'll be included in PlayStation Plus on March 21st. So if you have the PlayStation Plus Extra, I think it is, tier, you just get the game for free along with your subscription. So I'll be checking that out because I actually think this game looks really interesting. They also announced that they would have Minecraft Dungeons, Code Vein, and Battlefield 2042 added alongside that as the March games for PS Plus Extra. And I was like, all right, that's all right. Then we got a new game from the creator of Tetris Effect and Rez called Humanity, where it seems like... Do you remember an old game called Choo Choo Rocket?
Yes.
Where you would like control where like the mice went and everything by placing down arrows. And all right, so it seems like that kind of puzzle game, but you're playing as like a dog spirit and you're funneling people. And there's a lot of people. And it has like Pikmin vibes mixed with Choo Choo Rocket, and then it has like the incredible soundtrack of like something like a Rez, or I'm just gonna show it to you right now so you can see it for yourself. And it's also got a VR element where it looks like a diorama that you can look into, sort of like you're a god or something looking down on all the people and controlling them with the little dog spirit and like leading them from point A to point B by placing the arrows and making them go to certain things. And this game looks very interesting. I haven't got to play it yet, and the reason why I say I haven't got to play it yet is because they actually released a limited time demo immediately after this presentation for this game. And this is the kind of game that I think looks really interesting because I can't really quite pin down the concept of it just by looking at it. And because of that, I'm very interested in figuring out what the hell this is exactly. So I think that's pretty neat. I thought this was one of the more interesting games that was shown during the State of Play. After this, which honestly...
looks very indie.
It looks so weird. After this, they announced the release date for Goodbye Volcano High, that furry / dragon-y game that looks like it was made on DeviantArt. That is the narrative-driven game similar to something like Life is Strange. That also has rhythm game elements in it. And I'm just going to say, after finding out how these people are that made this game, even if it wasn't this, it would still leave a really bad taste in my mouth. And if you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. So we'll just leave it at that. I'll tell you after the podcast, Mike.
Okay.
It's bad, though. All right, so... after that, they announced the Naruto Boruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections game, which is every Ultimate Ninja Storm game and every Boruto game combined into one, which that's probably like 400 hours worth of content. Like 400 hours. That's a lot of fucking games. I know there's 5 Ultimate Ninja Storm games. There's 2 spin-offs. And then I think there's 2 Boruto games. So that's like nearly 10 games worth of content in one game. And it's pretty crazy. They then showed Baldur's Gate 3, which is coming to PlayStation 5 on August 31st. This game looked incredible. In case you haven't seen this game or been following it all, it's sort of like D&D, but as a turn-based RPG. But the turn-based elements of it are like you get to control the characters, but you only have so far you can move on the grid, but it's also an open world game. So the grid only exists when you're going into combat. And it's a really interesting game. This is from the same people that made Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
So those games, if you ever played them, which you absolutely should because they're excellent games, yeah, this game looks excellent. We then got some like Street Fighter 6 gameplay where they announced 3 characters, 2 of them being returning characters and 1 being, I think, a new character. I didn't play much of Street Fighter 5, so I'm not 100% sure. One's named Lily. She's kind of like a younger girl who can like control the wind, which allows her to control her attacks and like move the enemy towards her using like wind attacks and that sort of thing. The other 2 was Zangief and Cammy. So we got Zangief and Cammy announced for Street Fighter 6. I thought the new character looked really interesting, and I'm kind of excited to see how she plays. Cammy was Cammy, and then Zangief looked really cool with his new design. So yeah. So the main big portion of this state of play is what I'm going to talk about next.
Okay.
And it looked good for the first 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. And then they ruined it in the last 5 to the point where I'm not even interested in playing this game anymore.
Okay.
And then they ruined it harder after the state of play with other things that was told about the game. So we got a 15-minute deep dive in Rocksteady's new game, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
Okay.
This game looked excellent. It looked like a 4-player version of Crackdown with Justice League / Suicide Squad skin. And honestly, that's kind of the way I would like to play a game like this. And it seemed like a really super cool and interesting like take on it. Justice League turned evil because of Brainiac, so you literally are tasked with killing all of the superheroes off as the villains. So you interact with the other villains, such as like Penguin and whatnot, and Lex Luthor, and as while playing as like Harley Quinn and Captain Boomerang and King Shark, and as well as Deadshot. So I thought this could be a really interesting take on the villain side of things. Apparently, this takes place several years after the last Batman game, and it kind of has elements of the fallout from the last Batman game. Cool. Awesome. And then in the last 5 minutes, they told us about the gear system. And the gear system just looked like the same old gear system you see in things like any games as a service game made by Ubisoft.
Mm-hmm.
And it just really, really killed my interest in it very quickly, because it's like, I'm playing as assassins. I shouldn't have a green gun that does more damage as an assassin. And then if in case that, or like, oh, this gun does toxic damage. Ooh, and you got 2% to toxic damage. And it's like, okay, cool. What the fuck does that mean even? Like you're not really giving me anything. You're just throwing random stats and like repainting the gun. All right. I'm really sick of this element. I think it only works in games that are like Destiny, which is essentially a RPG with a first person shooter skin on it. Or The Division, which is kind of the same thing. But this is a single-player game that also has co-op elements, but it's not. I'll get to that in just a minute, which is what honestly put the nail in the coffin of fuck this game, I don't care. But I will get to that point in a minute. Next thing they showed us was the Battle Pass. They announced a Battle Pass for the game in the middle of announcing the game. And showing off the game. They immediately announced a Battle Pass system. So this is a $70 game that's a single-player title that has co-op in it as well. And they announced a Battle Pass. And then they announced how they will be doing post-launch content for the game. And their post-launch content was like, oh, well, what if Brainiac or something else happened, or this sort of thing happened, and who wants to fight hordes of enemies, and the higher, or like maybe we'll introduce more weapons and stuff like that. And I'm just like, no, this is just games as a service fluff. And this sucks so hard that that's what they're doing. These are the people that made the Arkham game. These are the people that made Arkham City and Arkham Knight. These are those people that made absolutely fucking incredible games that are just going down a path that's like, Ubisoftified. And it looked very Ubisoftified when they showed us the menus, which were just over cumbersome things of, oh, you've got a +5 gun. Ooh, better replace that green you had with a different green, and this one has an element of lightning damage. Woo, and it's just like, oh god. And they're like, oh, and we'll have cosmetic suits for the enemy, for your characters. So if you want to dress up Harley as Wonder Woman, there'll be cosmetics that you can get. They didn't quite say earn, they said get. And then they also talked about the battle pass and how some of the cosmetics will be tied into it, and some will be payable cosmetics to make your characters look all neat and everything. And none of that was earned cosmetics. None of that was earned items from loot drops. None of that was that. It was all just give us money, give us money, give us money, give us money on top of this $70 game that they had already, announced. And they did announce the release date of this, which is May 26th. Which this was the first time they announced the actual release date of it. So they announced the release date, announced the battle pass, announced the paid cosmetics, announced that, oh yeah, they slipped this one in at the end. It will be always online, so you can't play this offline, period, ever. Which is just that's the nail in the coffin for me. If you make your game always online and it's a single player game with co-op elements, but it's always online, that's not a single player game with co-op elements. That's just an online only games as a service game with a disguise over the top of it. And that honestly turned almost everyone else off. The pre-order rate for this game plummeted after this announcement and after all this stuff came out, and it did not come back up. And everyone's kind of like, yeah, this game looks like shit now. And the game took a nosedive in popularity after this 15-minute video and little interview piece was released for the state of play, which I think honestly has already destroyed the chances of this game, period, just in 15 minutes. Which really sucks because the gameplay looks awesome, but then there's just so much other bullshit around it. It just makes it so it's like, whatever. So that happened.
That sounds like a big fuck up.
Yeah, it is a huge fuck up. But there was another huge fuck up also. They had an earnings call after this as well.
Okay.
And during
who's
that earnings
call, like WB or
Rocksteady, WB, Warner Brothers, the gaming division of them. And they were talking about how they just announced the Justice League. And then they mention offhandedly, which everyone's ears perked up, and they're like, and when we release Mortal Kombat 12 later this year, we expect to expand upon that universe as well. And everyone was like, hold up, no one has announced Mortal Kombat 12 yet, guys. You literally just leaked that in an earnings call that you live streamed to everyone. You fucking idiots. So they accidentally spoiled the existence of Mortal Kombat 12 releasing later this year. We've gotten no trailers, we've gotten nothing for the game yet, and they just spoiled it in a offhanded comment in an earnings call.
Okay. So they think maybe that would help with the earnings, maybe.
Maybe. After what just happened with Suicide Squad, because no one's touching that shit now. It is plummeted in people's excitement for it. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And that was basically the state of play. We had one game that looked really good, a lot of really interesting, weird games, a neat announcement of T'Challa, or whatever it's. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm awful with names. Being released on PlayStation Extra day in with the game's release, and showing off some Street Fighter 6 and Resident Evil 4 stuff. I think there were some actual interesting things here in this. I thought the Street Fighter 6 and the Resident Evil 4 stuff looked excellent. I liked the other little games we had sprinkled in here, such as Humanity and the announcement for March's PlayStation games, including the one that will release, on release day in PlayStation Extra as well. I thought this was a pretty okay state of play. I thought it was pretty alright.
Mm-hmm.
So, I thought it was worth my time. Because there was some interesting stuff here. So, yeah. There you go.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I guess despite all that, if you still enjoyed it, that's good.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess it'll be interesting to see what comes of everything. Well, it sounds like Suicide Squad suicided.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Like it's in the title. It's in the game. It's in the game.
That reminds me, have you ever watched the Suicide Squad movie? The one that was made by James Gunn?
No, I don't think I watched that one.
You should. It's very fucking good. Like, actually really good. It's very funny. And it stars one of the best villains in John Cena as the villain. Who doesn't realize he is a villain.
Okay.
It's very good. It's very, very good. And that's where the show the HBO show starring John Cena came from. Peacemaker that released on HBO. That's a offshoot of the Suicide Squad movie that happened like immediately after it. So highly recommend sitting down and watching the Suicide Squad movie, the second one that was a reboot and a different take that was from 2021, and then watching Peacekeeper. They're both excellent.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah. It's I can't remember what I was just going to say about it.
I can't either.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll check them out. There's a whole bunch of stuff I've been watching lately.
They're both on HBO Max, if that helps. So
yeah.
There you
go. Okay. Anything else to talk about?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. You ready to wrap up then?
Yep.
Okay, let's do it. Well, thank you everyone for listening to us tonight. Don't forget to find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also check us out on game-crunch.com. We have all our episodes there for your listening pleasure. And if you want to reach out to us, we're on Facebook, Twitter. You can send us an email, gamecrunchcast@gmail.com. Brandon.
Hey, how you doing?
Any final thoughts?
Nope, I am good.
Okay. And with that said, my name is Mike Anastasia. You can find me online. I'm Clash of Penguin. And until next week, game on.
Game on. I mean, I do think there's some interesting games coming out in like the next week or two, but they're like me games.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a pretty solid beginning of the year.
Oh, absolutely. So, like, Wulong comes out next week, which is also part of Game Pass. Wulong. That is the Koei Tecmo Souls-like game that is releasing. You can preload it right now. It looks really good.
I don't remember that. I think we looked at it before.
Probably. It just WOLONG. That actually comes out in like 4 days.
Oh, that's not correct.
I might have even gave you the wrong thing because I'm horrible at names, like I said. That's why I spelled it.
No, I found it. No, you were pretty close. But when I typed it in, Google initially was like Wukong instead, which is like a Chinese game that's coming out next year.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a different one. This is also Chinese. But I have a theory about this game, and I kind of hope I'm right. I think this is a Souls-like in the Dynasty Warriors universe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that'd be cool.
Like it is. It looks like it is.
Mm-hmm. There's supposed to be a demo out.
There is. I haven't played it yet. I haven't installed.
Oh, mm-hmm.
So there's that.
Yeah. There are all sorts of like rumors and stuff this last week too.
There sure is.
Like Microsoft and their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like apparently they're trying to make deals for this whole acquisition to go through. And then there's a rumor that if it doesn't go through, that Microsoft will consider selling off the whole Xbox division.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay,
that rumor is pretty crazy. I don't believe that one.
I don't think so either. I feel like they've invested too much into it to go somewhere like that. So I don't know. But supposedly the deal they proposed to the European Commission was a 10-year deal for all Activision titles on other platforms. So I don't know about that one.
No idea.
Yeah. Ubisoft is going all in on Assassin's Creed. 4 more games being prepared. I thought there was something more exciting rumor-wise. Starfield showcase is imminent. More PlayStation stuff coming this year. Well, obviously, like nothing's announced right now.
Mm-hmm.
I would hope so. Sony's just been like absolutely shitty with their first-party developers.
Yep.
This generation. Like I don't know what happened. Like, absolutely do not know what happened with that.
I don't either, honestly.